The latest polls in Iowa show how volatile the race is on both sides. On the Republican side, polls indicate a tight race with Ted Cruz and Donald Trump leading the still crowded field. On the Democratic side, one of the most recent polls show Clinton ahead. Another shows Bernie Sanders ahead. Joining us to talk about the presidential race is the former mayor of Minneapolis, R.T. Rybak, who is also the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. Thanks so much for coming in.
Happy to be here.
All right, let's ask you about this Minnesota poll. Do you really believe that in Minnesota right now, Hillary Clinton is actually 34 percentage points ahead of Bernie Sanders?
Well, the poll is the poll. I think, what you'll see is the Minnesota situation is probably a couple months behind where, say, Iowa is, where there's been more campaigning. But it does seem that this is going to be a really strong Hillary Clinton state. Bernie Sanders is coming in and for a couple rallies, I think, this week. And so that will give us a better indication. And all three of the candidates, Martin O'Malley, too, will be at the Democratic dinner coming up. So I think we're going to get a lot more presidential politics, but it's clear that this is a good Clinton state so far. On the Republican side, it looks like it's pretty much a toss-up, but in no case has this been as active a campaign as it's been in Iowa. So we'll get a better sense of this in a few months.
All right, now you have to remain neutral as the vice chair of the DNC, so we can't ask you who you were supporting. But 8 years ago, you actually endorsed Barack Obama very, very early on. A lot of people didn't give him much of a chance, and then he came up with a stunning win in Iowa. A lot of people are concerned about Hillary Clinton's eroding poll numbers in Iowa and certainly in New Hampshire. Should the Democratic Party be concerned?
Yeah, well, first off, I am genuinely neutral. I love all three of these candidates, but I know a lot about how Hillary Clinton campaigns because I spent a lot of time in the Obama campaign, and as the campaign continued, we got very concerned because she is a very, very good campaigner. And I think the concern about her is frankly a bit overdone. She is, when you see her in the debate, she's extremely strong. When you see Bernie Sanders support,
but her poll numbers have collapsed
genuine.
in Iowa.
Well,
she had an enormous lead.
Yeah, but let's wait for this thing to go through Iowa, New Hampshire, and then South Carolina. When you really look at the makeup of the Democratic base, Iowa and New Hampshire are two really important parts of it, but South Carolina, frankly, brings in more people of color and a broader group. So I don't know, frankly, what this will be. And I think there are always reasons to be concerned when you see that much erosion in poll numbers, but it's early. The Sanders campaign is a genuine movement that has tremendous support in it. And it is a very real factor. It's certainly not going away.
All right. What do you make of the news of Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire, possibly getting into this race as an independent? He's a Republican, yet he is strongly pro-gun control. Right. Who would that hurt more?
Yeah. When you look at this campaign, think about two wings of both parties, the established and the activist part of the Republican and the Democratic. They're different, but in the Democratic side, both sides are really active, and candidates, Sanders and Clinton, are emerging. As you look at the Republican side, all the action is on the activist wing, and the establishment Republicans are not doing that well. In spite of how Rubio's doing in the poll here, most of the energy has been on the pretty extreme wing of that party. So there's a big, big vacuum, and that may actually work. So in that theory, it would hurt the Republicans, but Bloomberg will get some other folks. He's an unusual person because it's tough to chart where he is politically, and that probably will be appealing to people who are worried about the whole center being hollowed out. But the other side is that too often these independent campaigns, they surge a little bit, say in July, and then sort of go away as people get frightened about the other side getting elected. And I think if you had, say, some of the extreme candidates out there, I think that would initially help an independent candidate and then hurt them long term.
All right, I want to ask about your political future. You have a book coming out, a memoir, Pothole Confidential, which is available for apparently pre-orders right now in April. Is this a signal that you're running for office,
no,
perhaps governor?
Not at all. I'm doing my work at Generation Next right now, so that's where I'm focused. What I wanted to do is to write a book that really put a wall around politics and not about my future or anything, and just honestly wrote a book. I'm a journalist by trade, Esme, and I tried to write this not as a politician, but as a journalist embedded at City Hall. So I tried to just wing it and not think about anything. So I admitted a lot of mistakes. I talked about things that should have been done differently, as well as the other things. So it's not a vanity book by any stretch.
But will you be running for office, perhaps the governor's race?
Sometime in my life I may run again, I don't know. And I honestly don't. And I just think it's one of those times in my life where I want to not be thinking about everything through a political lens and think about the main thing in front of me, which is trying to help kids in school. And if you get really obsessed with the political thing, it winds up clouding everything, which I found. So I'm trying to just kind of frankly put blinders on and do my work right now.
All right. Well, Mayor R.T. Rybak, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks.